8:40, we know the government shutdown hits many of you hard in Maryland. Maryland is home to the highest number of federal workers across our region. The state's chief deputy estimates Maryland could lose $700,000 per day in tax revenue during the shutdown. Maryland Congresswoman April McClain-Delaney joining us now to talk about how she plans to support Marylanders through all of this. She represents portions of Montgomery County, Frederick, Washington, and Allegheny. And Garrett, thanks so much for being with us on this busy morning. We appreciate it. I want to start first just asking your reaction. What have you heard from constituents and from your colleagues on Capitol Hill?
Well, listen, there's a lot of concern. And, my first priority is really that, the health and well-being of the families within my district. And, I don't like a shutdown. No one likes a shutdown. And it's an inefficient way of governing. It costs more and it hurts, our workers, our communities, and most specifically our government workers. But, we've been talking with people and, we cannot continue to live in a world where, one party or one administration thinks or demands that they can get everything they want with respect to every budget priority. And that uncompromising approach is just not where we need to be at this place. And we are really concerned about a budget which makes it harder and less affordable for my constituents to live. And we're really concerned about the impact of healthcare on our rural hospitals. And in fact, right now, I am in Annapolis, Maryland, where I'm going to be joining Wes Moore, our governor, and members of the Maryland's congressional delegation this morning on the impacts of the government shutdown and, what Maryland resources can do and how we can really work best to get government back open.
And I want to ask you, obviously, we saw a similar situation play out almost 7 years ago, last time we were in a government shutdown. I know every shutdown looks different. What can people expect this time around, and any indication how long this might last?
Well, I think this is unprecedented, this shutdown, that it is more different in that, this administration is making all sorts of overturns about mass terminations and really kind of the way in which it'll impact in the long term our agencies as opposed to going just back to normal. But I'm hopeful that that is not what is going to happen and that we can come together. We can really, think about how we can protect this health and well-being and really have a real meaningful dialogue. We do not know how long it will last, but it is, my fervent hope, and I think many in our delegation within Maryland, that we get back to work as quickly as possible. And I have over 35,000 government workers within the 6th district. And so this is, these just aren't numbers. These are real people who every day show up for work, irrespective of party, and just do the best they can to lift up for the public interest. So they deserve more.
And we certainly know that anytime there is a shutdown like this, or even talks of a shutdown, there's a lot of gray areas as to what will be operating, what resources will I still, have access to. I know you're hosting an event in Germantown to talk about some of the, access to health care, especially for those who are insured through Medicaid. Can you tell us a little bit more about this and what they can expect?
Sure. Well, first of all, my website, which went up this morning, has a lot of FAQs about, all of the different agencies that will be shut down, whether it's the parks, whether it's, Social Security offices, all of the agencies across government, what should be expected in terms of closures or limited services. And we in my district, but I know across the congressional district, where all our offices are open for assistance and to help our constituents to, in whatever issue that they have. Today in Germantown, there is going to be a delegation of women from across Congress who are just going to talk about how, our health care is being impacted. Many of the health premiums are expected to double for many working families. And in the 6th district, almost 9,000 people are projected to be, kicked off health care. And many of our rural hospitals are going to be impacted. So we really want to highlight that, but also some of the other key cutbacks and risks and the impact across our communities. And lifting up those stories, I think, is the best way to understand the narrative and how important it is that we come together to get this budget done and to end the shutdown.
All right. Certainly has a wide impact throughout the DMV. Congresswoman, thanks so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, we got to work on this. Many, many thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.